Hi, this is Julian. Thanks for stopping by. This is the tutorial video for how to install the Toa of War mod. I call it a singular mod, but really it's a whole bunch of little mods. I wanted it to be very customizable so you can pick out your Toa, pick out which matoran sidekick you'll have, what weapons you guys will wield, all that sort of stuff. Picking out the models and textures that you want to use is not difficult, but it is tedious. So I'm going to walk you through a couple examples of how to do that. Let's begin. Right-click the file and click Download. To extract the file, we'll have to use 7-zip or WinRAR. Both of these are really easy to install. I'm just showing you the download links here. Just follow along with their installers and you'll be good to go. For this example, I'll be using WinRAR to extract the file to the root directory of my S drive. It doesn't really matter where you extract the file to, as long as it's in a consistent place and you don't accidentally delete it. Once it's finished extracting, navigate to the Toa of War folder. There's a couple of folders in here. I'd recommend you first explore the renders folder. This folder contains tons of preview images, most of which have been rendered with Blender, in addition to some annotated screenshots. Before we start copying files all over the place, you probably want to plan out which mods you'd like to install. For this example, we're going to reskin Kratos as Tahu, Atreus as Takua, Mimir as Vikama. We will change the Leviathan axe to Tahu's flame sword, and the Blades of Chaos to the Blades of Makuta. When it comes to modding God of War, there are two types of assets we are replacing: models and textures. Model swaps are easy. We just find the folder with the model you would like and copy it to the mods folder in the God of War directory. Textures are more complicated. The method in which God of War mods work is that all the replacement textures are copied to a folder, in this case the BIONICLE folder, located in the Toa of War directory. Once you are happy with your selections, we run two commands in command prompt that will generate two TextPax files from the contents of that BIONICLE folder. We copy those TextPax files to a location in the God of War directory. Anytime you would like to replace the models, you can just delete folders and copy new ones over to the mods folder. You can press F10 in-game to reload the models, or you can just restart your game and the new models will be loaded. For textures, if you wish to switch out or swap textures, you will have to go through the whole process with the command prompt commands, and then copying the TextPax files. I have found that the best way to start copying files is to have 4 File Explorer windows open like this. The 2 on the left are to the God of War directory, and the 2 on the right are to the Toa of War directory. If you are using the Epic Game Store, you should be able to right-click on the game, click Manage, and then select the Open Install Location button near the bottom of the window. In the Toa of War directory, open the topmost folder, called Copy All the Contents of this folder into God of War, and we will do exactly that. If you're asked to replace any files with the same name, then do so. Navigate to the Models folder with the top right File Explorer window. Navigate to the Textures folder with the bottom right File Explorer window. Navigate to the Mods folder with the top left window. In the bottom left window, navigate to Patch and then PCLE. Let's go into Characters, Kratos, and we're looking for Tahu. There's actually a couple different models for Tahu based on which shield you'd like to use. I'm just going to use the How shield for now. So let's copy this and paste it in the mods folder. Back out to Characters, under Atreus. We're using a Takua, and Takua was Prakari. So we're going to grab the Picari matoran model here. Paste that in the mods. Back out to characters. Go to Mimir. We're playing with Vakama, so let's copy him over. Paste it in the mods. Now let's back out of characters, go back one more, go to weapons. We're going to look for a mod for the Leviathan axe, so we'll go into axe. We are looking for Tahu's flame sword. Here it is. Copy that, paste that in the mods folder. Back out to weapons. Now for the Blades of Chaos. These are all the Blades of Chaos mods. We will grab the Blades of Makuta. Copy that, paste it in. Just for reference, every mod folder, when you go in them, will have FMT, INI, VB files. With our top right window, let's go back to the Toa of War directory. I'm now going to go over how to install textures. We're going to be copying textures from the textures folder into the BIONICLE folder here. If we open up the folder, you can see I already have some textures in here. These are for the pre-installed mods that I think are required at a minimum. Let's back out, minimize it. One other thing, if you don't have these thumbnails, you might want to install the Nvidia DDS plugin. But anyway, let's make these a little bit smaller so we can see more of them. The file structure is set up in a similar way to the models folder. From textures, we're going to go into characters, Kratos, Tahu. Before we start grabbing Tahu textures, we're going to need these textures, which are required for any character. Now, I believe I already copied these as part of the pre-installed mods. Let me just see. If you ever asked to overwrite, just go for it. Yep, just to save you a little bit of time. But if you need those textures just by themselves, for whatever reason, you can find them here. Back out to Kratos. Let's go to Tahu. Most Kratos textures are set up like this, where there are some default textures, and then if you want to upgrade them with a golden Kanohi or other upgrades, it'll be down here. So first we have to grab this default textures, which are, as you can see from the thumbnail, he uses his red How. We're going to do Control A to select all of these, Control C, Control V. I'm probably going to switch to keyboard commands for the rest of this video, at least when it comes to copying and pasting, just because it's much faster. Back out of Tahu. It would be at this time that we could grab the golden Kanohi textures and overwrite if you want them. I do not, so I'm going to leave them in there for now. Back out from Kratos, back out again, back to characters. We're going to go to Atreus. As you may have already noticed, the matoran are organized based on mask that they wear, not the character name. Takua wears a Picari, and the way I have this set up is there are actually 2 masks on each texture sheet. If you need an overview of all the mask pairings that I've created, I have this little poster that I've made. It's kind of cool. You get 2 masks on one texture sheet. So if you were to, for example, play with Hyuki up here, who's wearing the Kakama, it's the same texture as Mitoro, plus you get 2 palette swaps. So all you have to do is just use a different model. So let's go to the How or Picari files. These are the required textures for any matoran, regardless of what character they are. As long as they're wearing a How or Picari, they need those textures. Let's copy them in. Back out. We will grab the textures from Takua. Copy these all. Paste them into BIONICLE. Back out to characters. Let's go to Mimir. These are the required textures for any Turaga, any character. So we're going to copy these in. Back out. Grab these textures since we are using Vekama. Copy these. Back out. Let's go to finally this last folder with Vekama. Copy these. Paste these in. Back out of characters, back one more. Let's go to weapons. Let's go to axe. Tahu's flame sword. We're going to need the required textures. These textures are required for any Tahu flame sword color except for silver. Back out. Let's go. We want to use the red flame sword. So we'll go into here, copy these. Go back to the weapons folder. Let's go to blades. Go to the blades of Makuta. Rust. Copy these. Paste into BIONICLE. Okay. So that is all the textures we need for now. So let's go down here. Let's open up command prompt. Open that. Let's move our command prompt window to the side. First, let's create a new text file document in the Toa of War directory. Right click, new, text document. We will call it GOW tool commands. Open the text document, then go to your God of War game directory. Right-click GOW tool, click copy as path, paste that into the text document, add a space, type settings, space, -G, add a space, Control V to paste it again, and then remove gowtool.exe at the end of the line. Remember to get rid of the backslash and keep the ending quotation mark. On a new line, paste again. Type space, textpack, space, -P. Right-click our BIONICLE folder, copy as path, Control V to paste into Notepad, space, -I. You must use copy as path, as I do not know where your Toa of War directory or God of War game directory is located. Copy the first command, paste it into command prompt, press enter. Copy the second command and paste it into command prompt, then press enter. Using the contents of the BIONICLE folder, this command is generating two text pack files which will appear here in the Toa of War directory. Here they are. Be mindful of the fact that this folder's name can change as I release future versions of the mod. You can save and minimize the document, and you can also minimize command prompt. Copy and paste these two text pack files to God of War, exec, patch, pcle. And that's it. You're now ready to launch the game. You should see a custom intro, and you should get to the main menu without crashing. If you are having crashing here, try creating that text pack without the matoran textures. I don't know if it's the size of them or just how many there are, but I have found that on a weaker computer I needed to delete some of those textures and only keep the ones that I have for a particular set of armor that he's equipped with. It looks like everything loaded properly. I'm going to go over some tips and tricks and little quirks that I've found while modding this game. These are issues and features that you might want to be aware of. I think after that I'll give you one more example of switching everything out, and that should send you on your way. The first issue is that not all of the armor is invisible. Some of the chest armor will show up over the Toa model. I don't necessarily think it's a bad look, but it is something to keep in mind. The waist armor has a pretty big limitation though. You have to use the Death's Vow waist armor, or the starting waist armor, for the Toa model to show up properly. The Picari mask is paired with the How, so if you delete the Picari and then copy over the How, and then hit F10, it will reload the model. Every matoran texture set has 2 masks on it, except for the Monog Picari, which just has itself. Here, I'm deleting the How shield model, and I'm replacing it with the Dish shield model. Very similar process. All of the Kratos models, except for Matanui, support both shield models. If you are running the game in original graphics, Atreus' matoran model will pop out as soon as you get distance between yourself and him. To solve this, switch model quality to high. Some of the weapon models feature reversed variants. The textures are the same, but the orientation of the weapon is flipped 180 degrees along the longest axis. The Nakama Trident skin for the axe is the only other weapon mod I've created so far that has a variant using the same texture sheet. I thought it would be a fun idea to stick the colorful Monog fish onto the trident. Plus, it actually matches up better with some of the Leviathan axe animations now. If you start seeing warnings like this, either when you launch the game or have pressed F10 to reload the model mods, you likely have 2 mods trying to modify the same meshes. You may have an extra character or weapon folder in your mods folder, as shown here. The warnings even mention the Lewa axe and Tahu Flamesword having a possible mod conflict. For this example, deleting one of the Toa folders and one of the axe folders, and then pressing F10 to reload the model mods would resolve the issue. If for some reason you would like to completely nuke the Bionicle's texture folder, you can delete it and then copy a fresh folder from this zipped file. I've also decided to include my GOW tool commands document here. You just need to change the file paths. If you do find you are in the unenviable position where deleting the matoran textures does seem to prevent crashing, you can copy the textures for just one of Atreus' armors. All the Atreus armor in the textures folder are lumped together. I've made a chart here, which will also be posted in the video description. This will help you with copying only the textures for the armor Atreus is currently using. Keep in mind, as you upgrade or switch his armor, you will need to recreate those text pack files with command prompt. Let's go through the character and weapon swapping one more time. Our 2 left windows are to the God of War game directory, while my 2 right windows are to the Toa of War directory. For our characters and weapons, we're going to get a little bit more out there. Hopefully this will inspire you to see how personalized you can get with your setups. We will be playing as Anua with a gold Picari, wielding Liwa's green axe. He will also have Ghali's blue hooks, and be accompanied by, of all the possible matoran, Tiribamba, who is equipped with silver protodermis throwing discs. To round out our trio, Targa Anawa will provide valuable counsel. With our top left window, navigate to the mods folder. In our bottom window, navigate to EXEC, Patch, PCLE. These are the previous textures we used, and they will be overridden. In our top right window, we can see we are using a clean version of the Bionicle textures folder. This was just extracted from that zipped file. The only textures that are in here currently are those that are part of the pre-installed mods. Let's go check out models. On the bottom right window, let's go to Textures. With our top right window, let's go to Characters, Kratos. We are looking for Onuba. I actually went one folder deeper than I should have here, but it doesn't really matter. Just back out and copy the folder over to the mods folder at the top left window. Go back out to Characters, go to Atreus. Tiribomba wears a Ruru, so we will look for that folder here. I'll use the Textures window though, just to double check and really make sure. Yep, Tiribomba is under Komau or Ruru. Copy that over to the mods folder. Back out to Characters. Let's go to Mimir. We are grabbing Onawa. Back out to Characters. Back out to Models. We're going to go to Weapons. Let's do the axe first. We're going to be grabbing Liwa's axe. Back out to Weapons, and let's now do the blades. We're looking for Golly hooks. Back out to Weapons, and we're going to go for that matoran throwing disc. All the throwing discs are on one texture set, so you just swap the model to change the disc. Those are all the models we need, so let's back out to the BIONICLE folder located in the Toa of War directory. I think for the textures we're just going to go down the list in the mods folder and add them as needed. Like I said, the type of throwing disc is controlled by the model, not the texture. So there's only one set of textures for the throwing discs. Back out to Weapons, Axe, Liwa Axe. Copy paste both the textures from the required folder and the green folder. The process for Golly's hooks is pretty much the same, except instead of green, we will be grabbing the colors from the blue folder. As long as you have the required textures, you can pick whatever color you want. For Tiribomba's textures, we're going to back out to Characters, Atreus, Komau or Ruru, and grab our files from here, both the required textures and Tiribomba's diffuse textures. Back out to Kratos, go to Onua. Be sure to grab the contents of this folder. They are required for either Picari. After that, you're free to pick whichever mask textures you'd like. Just to be safe, I'm grabbing the default textures, and then I'm going to overwrite any textures with the ones from the golden Kanohi folder. Variki is set up in a similar way. Let's back out to Mimir and grab the Onawa textures. The Turaga textures are a bit all over the place. Originally I only had 2 sets of textures, and each texture set had 3 Turaga heads on it. But I couldn't shake the feeling that it was just really odd and cursed looking to have Mimir's human body with a bionicle head. And even though I didn't really want to make more work for myself, just for a small scene, maximum effort, you know? It was a lot of fun actually. I got to add moss and all that kind of texture. Kind of reminds me of something you'd see in like Castle in the Sky. Back to the tutorial, let's bring up the command prompt window. You can copy and paste that second command, or if you've already typed it in the past, you can just press up on your arrow keys to bring up the previously typed command, and then press enter to run it. This usually takes 2 to 3 minutes on my machine, but it does vary based on your hardware specs. You'll get a message in command prompt when the text pack files are ready, You'll also see the date modified information change in that column. Minimize the command prompt window, copy those text pack files to God of War, exec, patch, pcle, overwrite if you need to. We've launched our game from Steam, and as you can see, everything is working okay. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment. I'll try and help if I can. If you guys have any interest in commissioning me to make custom skins, whether BIONICLE related or not, just reach out. I am interested in doing commissions, but we'll see. It definitely helps when the idea has potential. In terms of future updates, I am thinking of modding a Tarakava over one of the enemies, but we'll see where that goes.